City rail network is one of the most complex networks in the world. RailCorp aims to deliver a clean, safe, and reliable services to passengers of almost 1 million every day for over 150 years. With an organization like this, isolated problems are inevitable and sometimes beyond our control. But we do something about it by periodic maintenance and performance management. Last December 2, 1999, Glenbrook, near Blue Mountains, a signal point failure and a communication problem made train driver of the Indian Pacific stop the train on the siding. And at that time, the intercity train was also having similar problem with the signal point and communication with the network controller was running fast and did not see the rear of the Indian Pacific. And then suddenly on the sharp curve, hit and collided the rear of the stationary wagon of the Indian Pacific. That was the photo. There's no passenger here, but the passengers on the intercity. There were about 7 people died, and 51 got injured. And on the 2nd or 31st of January 2003, in Waterfall, a Tangara train driver suffered heart attack. And the road for that particular speed was below 60 kilometers per hour. But the train was running so fast, of almost 170 k. The train got out of control. And again, with a sharp curve and the rocky road walls, edge, the train collided and derailed. About 7 people, including the driver, died, and 64 were injured. But RailCorp has several safety procedures in place on train running. During that time, they were not as good as now, but since those incidents, we never stopped improving and improving all the systems, including the extensive upgrade of the signal points all over the network. And the second one is the vigilance control unit installed in all electric trains throughout the metropolitan and country trains. That is to remind the driver, to awake the driver consciousness in case of emergency. And not only that, they also introduced the health checks and fatigue management of the drivers and the guards, and extensive training of the drivers and the guards time and again. So there were so much innovations done during those times. And as a matter of fact, this vigilance control unit system were installed since 2004, right after the incident in 2003. And the format would be, regardless of speed, there's the fixed timing cycle of 30 seconds, 5 seconds, another 5 seconds, which means this is the warning when the driver is unconscious. If he will not touch the button of, this is the button that the driver should touch in case of emergency. And this is the upgrade of that particular button. At the moment, it is already with the Warata trains. These are the latest trains that we have acquired. And still on improving and improving, never-ending improving until it will really occupy the whole system of the network, because we are trying to replace the old ones. So this light here will give the shining light at 5 seconds. If the driver will not act on pressing the button, after 5 seconds of the warning light, another 5 seconds will be the light with the sounds, with the alarm. And after that, if the driver will still not press that button, the emergency brake applies and the train will stop. So in that case, there's no accident, either the passengers or the drivers or anybody. Now, there were lots of improvements since that time that Railcorp initiated. Like, for instance, the overextensive signal point upgrades, time and again, 24 hours, 7 days a week. These are being changed every day and every hour and monitored by the train controller. The train controller is a diagrammatic, schematic diagram of all train running all over the metropolitan and country trains area. Now, we have invested so much on this. Not only that, we also included or introduced the emergency door where the passengers can, when the passengers can press the red mark on all trains so that in case of accidents, they can remove themselves inside the train and they can relieve from these incidents to happen. And we also initiated the mobile phone because it was a communication problem before, and now they are adopting the digital radio, train radio system, similar to a mobile phone technology. Now, if this one were not made, so far, 14 years ago, it never happened. So, we are really trying our very best. And we invested our time in training and training and so much money from the New South Wales government funding to avoid incidents like this. So at this point in time, I can answer some questions from the audience.
So after the introduction of these safety measures, has there been any incidents?
So far, only minor, but these are all freight, but not passengers. Those were the two major isolated cases of incidents that happened within the Railcorp during that time. And the government again re-amalgamated the civil, signal, and electrical engineering in one umbrella. Now it's called Railcorp. Before we were SRA. That was one of the problems because there were miscommunications and then there were some limitations of private company-owned rail, like the National Rail Corporation. It's not under SRA. So this time, all of us on the railway, we tried to conglomerate our heads, our minds, and our efforts for the safety of the passengers and the public at large. Yes, Mark?
If a driver has a heart attack, presumably the train will slow down and come to a stop now. What happens to the train 10 minutes behind coming towards it? How?
The thing is, that particular button there is an acknowledgement button that will connect everyone else because it's a fast link.
So it's not just the head office, it connects with the other train as well?
Everybody, even the train guards or train drivers of all the incoming trains. That's why it's more sophisticated. Unlike before, we needed extra money to finance this, and we did.
That'll mean that trains on another track might be halted as well.
But there would be a signal to stop them. Unlike before, there were failures because people cannot communicate properly because of outdated technology. But now, we are trying to be one of the best world train operators so far. And hopefully, we can get it like what we are having now, lots of restructuring and, of course, diminishing the limited management, trying to make it obnubilate. Avoiding this is not really easy, but somehow we're trying our best not to have a problem like this in the future. Any other question?
Nobody else may have it.
Yes?
Just about 4 weeks ago, there were 2 incidents of overhead failure. Overheads dropping
Overhead failure.
near Epping. When it happened the first time, we could acknowledge that it was first time, so we could accept that. But within a week, again, second time it happened. Is there any?
This was the overhead wiring. Now, this was not a signal problem, but electrical problem. We all know that Sydney weather is one of the worst weather in the world. If it is summer, it's really summer. And some people, not only the wire are getting burned, even the hearts of the people are burned. As a matter of fact, one of our finance manager died because of the heat wave in Central Station. He collapsed. The body cannot really take the heat of the sun. Summer is really summer, 40, 45 degrees. How much more the overhead wiring. But then again, you will see the emergency crew are there to attend to that particular problem. But still there are so many reasons beyond our control. It could either be natural disaster, of the weather, or sometimes the passengers themselves, or sometimes the system itself. But again, fatalities are to the least minimum.
And the second question is, recently when the trains are delayed, when I asked the station crew what's happening when the train will come, they're not able to definitely answer, we don't know where the train is. So it gives me an impression that there is no communication facility between the driver and the station's crew. So how do you address this?
That happens sometimes. Passengers are always angry and furious about these things. You are increasing the fare, but then again the service is still poor. That is the reason why probably the Ministry of Transport is trying to communicate to us. We are trying to give extra funding to improve your service in terms of emergency failures like this. But then again, due to, shall we say, bureaucracy, that's part of our organizational mentality, that may be the reason. But then again, after that incident, everybody will be meeting in one room with all the bam everything. And all the swearing because of these things happening. They are aware to this kind of problems. But then again, sometimes people, because of human factor and human error, are not really too dedicated as what should be. And so we're trying to avoid all of this. So I would say that our heart belongs to the victims and the families. We pray that these incidents will not happen again, and we will continue to give better service to everyone. Madam Postmaster.
Thank you.